Hello everybody, it's me, GhostCritic, and finally we have another in my series of reviews of Marvel's Ultimate Graphic Novel Collection. And this time we have this one. It's Captain America, The New Deal, which collected issues 1 to 6 of Volume 4 of Captain America. And, oh, this was a tough one to review. This is set post 9/11 and how Captain America fits into this kind of new American era of terrorism on, you know, obviously this global scale. And it's one of those kind of comic books that I don't like. It's very difficult because it is such a very sensitive topic, but my stance still holds true. Our comic book world, which is fantastical, full of these brightly emblazoned costumed heroes, should never bleed over into our real world that we live in day to day, because it doesn't work. It seems almost insincere to have, especially something of this scope, portrayed in a comic book. Yes, have those kind of tribute kind of issues that are firmly away from our comic book universe, which praises the work, the real work and effort that the rescue workers did in those horrific times, but don't throw a costumed hero in, because as in the first issue, Dust, it's on all our lips, and one of the rescue workers turns around and says to Captain America, as they're searching through all the debris looking for survivors, "Where were you?" And that's the question that will always be asked when we're using this kind of scenario, this real life event. We don't have Captain America in our universe. We don't have Superman, who could have picked up that aeroplane that smashed into the towers and, you know, grab it and make it land somewhere completely safe, and this horrific event would never have happened. So the question will always be, where were you? Issue 1 is a great read, coupled with just the gorgeous art from John Cassidy, but it's a very emotional, hard-hitting tale, with Steve Rogers, Captain America, going through all the debris, as I said, trying to find survivors, thinking about the day before when everything seemed to be so fine and he was just out running, and then there's the scene of the evening where we have this I presume Muslim guy just walking the streets on his own post the event, and a group of white guys go to attack him, and of course Captain America intervenes and just kind of tries to remind what we want now. It's not about revenge, it's about justice. So while this is all going on, by the end of the issue, we have our tale starting 7 months later, and we now are in this fictional town called Centerville. Again, something that doesn't again fit right. You have this real life event happened. And there are scenes that are unavoidably similar to what we've seen on the TV, what we've seen in the newspapers, and, you know, that hard-hitting portrayal of that. And then we go to a completely fictional town, because what happens here, we have these aircraft going over and dropping its payload of cluster bombs all over the town. Why can't we see that happening in a real town from America? The writer, the artist, brave enough to show what really happened on 9/11, but an act of terrorism later we can't have happening in a real world town? I don't know. But the story picks up from there, and it is this group led by Tariq, and he's taken hostage all the townsfolk and rounded them up all in the church, and they're asking for Captain America, the kind of emblem, the symbol of America, you know, that symbol of justice, of power, of patriotism. And it's up to Captain America to go and find and rescue the townsfolk. And along the way, he has to go up against these children. These children that Tariq has basically mutilated. These children have like metal legs and metal arms, and strapped to them are bombs and microphones that are speaking with Tariq's voice. And of course there's then the whole kind of issue of how does he stop these children that have got grenades strapped to them, who are willing to die for an idea that they probably don't even understand, but they've been brainwashed and fed all these lies by this terrorist group. By the end of it, yes, he saves the people in the church, but by the end of it, he basically takes off his mask, and he has again another big speech about terrorism, about this is his fault, don't blame it on the country, he's killed people, he's not proud of it, so look, this is me, this is what I'm trying to do for your country to keep it safe. Of course, this doesn't go down well with the government, and then we're led into this other storyline about these cat tags. These cat tags that monitor the wearer's kind of heartbeat, their adrenaline and such like, these high-tech pieces of equipment. But from the past story with Tariq, they find out that they also have the cat tags, and so this story develops that how did they get them, who's been providing the technology for who, and it does come over incredibly overtly political, and it ends up with kind of this faceless kind of monstrous guy who again baits Captain America into this huge fight in where was it? I think it was it Belgium? Well, is it somewhere in Germany? Somewhere in Dresden? Sorry, in Dresden. And he has this huge fight, lots of explosions. Again, the whole kind of rhetoric about people kind of learning from the mistakes, the whole idea of justice and who's always going to be, is there always going to be evil in the world, the Genghis Khans, the Hitlers, they say the Caligulas, really getting kind of historic on us, and obviously it's by the end of it, it's Captain America's kind of new impetus to fight for freedom for the people all over the world. It's a really difficult book to read and review, and again, I don't kind of like it. Fine, tell this story if you want, but do it as an analogy. Use some fictional kind of criminal group or a terrorist cell type of thing, but then to put your real life mark on it, it just, for me, it never does sit comfortably. Maybe it is just the topic of this book that caused so much difficulty for me to read it. I mean, even in the back they have little They have, as always, you know, the kind of little article in the back with the writer John Ney-Ryber, and he does say, I mean, I'll just read this in the back. It says, asked whether, given the limitations of the monthly comic book format, he felt he had succeeded in getting his message across. Ryber confessed that he didn't think he had. In quotes, I failed. I won't say utterly, but I certainly failed on several levels. That doesn't mean that I don't believe it's a good book to read. If nothing else, Cassidy's artwork is amazing. As for me, I did write a couple of good scenes and I did pose a couple of good questions. I didn't manage to do half of what I set out to do with the work, but I am glad in retrospect that I at least tried. I always say that writing was like crawling over broken glass, which could be a cathartic experience, I guess. People do go to seminars to learn to walk on burning coals, break cinder blocks and their foreheads and so on. I did learn a lot from writing the New Deal though, no doubt about that. So, I mean, even the writer, you know, he had difficulty writing the thing, and I think it is because it's too close a subject to be able to write in our Marvel costume superhero universe. So I'm sure this was liked by a lot of people. I wasn't particularly over enamoured with it, but there you go. These stories, they're out there for people who want to read them, and that's kind of it. Very difficult book to review. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Some people probably have already read this. So yeah, put a comment in the box below and tell me what you thought about the book. And I'll see you next time with another review. Bye bye.